demonstrator for tonight is, guess who? Steve. And it's going to be on Pearson. Let's give him a big hand now.
All right. So
I should go over there and get my laptop back out.
I started prepping for this about 3 weeks ago, and I got a bunch of stuff turned, and then I ended up in not having life happened, and I didn't get a chance to do a whole lot. So I'm gonna talk my way through it. If you want to start these around and pass them around, a lot of people have seen these already.
Come on, Nelson.
Can I sit here?
I've brought them in a couple of times. The different items that I've done. I went and I took a class at one of the shows that we went to, and they talked about piercing, and I'd always seen it and thought it was going to be really cool. So like everything else I do, the ADHD kicked in, and I said, that looks like a deep rabbit hole that I need to spend some money in. So that's what I did. This was a test. It's, if you look real close, it's got a little, I sanded it through the hole in the bottom, the center point.
I don't think this is wood.
But that black one is the President's Challenge that we did last year. The big blocks of cherry we gave out that some people turned and brought back. Well, I paid for mine and kept it. That took me about 2 or 3 days to hollow it out and get it shaped the way I wanted, and then get it sanded up. And then it took about 6 months to pierce all those holes in it, because I could only sit there for like 2 hours and pierce those holes before my hand would start cramping up and I was going cross-eyed trying to do it.
I like that.
So, what? Oh, sorry. Throw something at me. There we go. All right. So, yeah, there is.
One was too many.
Let me slap that one in the back of the head too. Yeah. There you go. Boom, boom. Yeah. All right. So let me get my skills squared away. We talked about. We'll start with the little cherry vase, or whatever you want to talk about. I got a pile of stuff at the house that's about 3.5 to 4 inches square, and however long. So I cut up a whole bunch of it, and I've been working with it and playing with it. And this is a just a piece of cherry. I tried a piece of walnut, and I got about halfway into it, and I started hearing a clicking, and turned it off, and it was full of cracks. And I was like, "Yep, nope, not doing that one." So this one is you see that? It is really thin. Yeah, so that right there is roughly 1/8 of an inch, and it's either 1/8 or smaller, thinner the whole way down. That took me the basic shape and the basic hollowing 10 minutes, 15 minutes. This stuff's dead dry. I mean, it's been, we got it from the guy in Fairfield. But then set up my cheater hollowing system. Everybody tells me I cheat because it's got a video camera on it instead of a laser, and turned it out. So this is where we're going to start. We're going to do talk about layout and getting ready to put your pattern on. Now, this is a segmenting wheel, indexing wheel. I can't remember. Somebody's asked me who built this thing. I can't remember where I got it, but I bought it at one of the shows that I was at, and I really like it. So it's got holes in it. The rings, starting in the inside, is 56 holes, 88 holes, 96, 120, 144, and 192 holes in the 6 different rings. What I use it for most is putting a grid on my work, right? So, actually I think I might turn this on. I'm not going to turn, you can sit there, I'm not going to turn, I'm not going to make that, but I am going to turn it on. All right. So one of the things, unless you're really good at drawing, like some of us are, probably a little more better than I am, or you just want to freehand it and do a free-form type of a design, you just go right ahead, or you may want to put a pattern on it anyway. So the way I get started, and I knock this together, is basically I'll figure out how many indexes I want around the item that I'm going to work with. And then what I'll do, and I love these little things, these little mechanical pencils, you can buy them in like a pack of 50 for nothing. The good part about it, you can use a regular pencil, but you got to make sure it's sitting flat, right? And it gets dull, right? And it gets bigger as it goes. You got to keep sharpening it. This will stay the same, but this right here will come off, and it doesn't matter where you put it, it's always at the same height, right? So basically, I got this set for 12, and basically I took 56, divided by 12, and I came out with how many marks it goes. I mark it with a Sharpie. You can always wipe it off with acetone. You pick one, you start there, and basically yell at me if you need me to change TVs. Which one do you want me on? There we go. All right. And that marks, and you pull the little pin out, you rotate it around, you draw another one, you draw another one, you draw another one, and I'm not going to make these really dark. Usually what I end up doing is making them kind of dark, because as you handle this, you wipe the marks off. All right. So this was just 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, one more. I think that's right. Yeah, 8. All right. So now I have indexing lines all the way around my piece. Question?
Yeah. How did English major here? How did you do your numbers again? I mean, as far as your figuring.
Figure this out.
Right.
So I decide how many lines around the piece I want.
Okay.
And I wanted 8.
Okay.
So then I take and figure out which ring I want to use, divide the number of holes on the ring by 8, and then I mark 1 and then count over. So it's mark 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, mark another one, 1, 2, 3, 4, so forth and so on till you get all the way around, and then you don't use the ones that aren't marked. And when you get too many marks on it and it becomes confusing, you take a acetone on a rag and wipe it right off and start over. All right, so, but I've only used, I don't remember how many it is. I've used the 88 ring, and I've done every other hole, and that was for some of the basket weave stuff I was playing with for a while. It's part of the ADHD thing. I did a demonstration on it a couple of years ago, and I hadn't touched it since. So, yeah, yes?
The thing that you just moved,
This?
yeah, what is that?
It's, so what this thing is a indexing pin. It's got a little spring-loaded pin. Am I in the frame? Yeah. So there's a spring-loaded pin on here, and you can basically set this thing up to be parallel to the ring, and this pin goes in these holes, and that's all you do. That's all it is so that it locks it. Most of your bigger lathes have an indexing wheel built into the spindle. I mean spindle. And they come with a threaded insert that you can screw in and lock it in place. And the owner's manual will tell you which pin, like which one to use at what time. It's a pain in the neck because it's threaded holes. And the only thing.
Would that be in the pulley housing?
Yeah. Well, this one's right here. If you come up after this, it's 3 threaded holes right here, and there's holes in the spindle. On mine, there's 2 or 3 on my Powermatic. One's right on top. The only thing I ever use it for is if I need a hole or a detent that's other than where the spindle lock is, because there's this one, and then there's one 180 degrees out, right? But if I need something that's down here and I need it to be on top, I just take a Phillips head screwdriver and stick it in there and turn it until right, and just let it stick in, just hang in there, because I don't need it tight, right? So you can pass that around if you want. I'm done with it. So the other thing I do is you got to decide if you want anything other than these lines. And what I did was, this is made specifically for this lathe. It was, my other one is for my 20-inch lathe. This is a 16-inch lathe.
Steve, I think that's an easy manufacturing rig.
This?
Yeah.
Easy Tools or Easy Manufacturing?
Easy manufacturing.
Oh, it may be. Well, so the guy that helped design this, if you look on YouTube, it's Earl's Small Segment Shop. I haven't seen him post a video in a long time, but he was older than anybody in this room. So I don't know if he's died or what. I haven't heard. But he did, all he did was segmented stuff. That's it. And he did some really nice stuff. Go look at his stuff. But he worked with the company that makes this and did it. And there's a whole system for segmenting, gluing up segmented vases on the lathe. So the other thing I did is, you got to figure out if you want any radial lines around here. So I took, and every 1/4 inch, I put a tick mark on this, so that I don't have to eyeball it. I can be a little bit more accurate. So basically what you can do is you can set this up and get a mark every 1/4 inch roughly. Usually it doesn't have to be too accurate. Depends on what you're doing really and how OCD you are. All right, so now we have a grid that we can work with.
You have a line that's off kilter.
Huh? That's all right. Yeah, I know. I moved. I did that so it'd bug you.
It
All
does.
right. So when Bud was doing his stuff last month, they were talking about patterns, and he showed a couple of books and things. I bought these because I was thinking about it, and I've had them for a while, and I haven't actually used anything out of them, but they're adult coloring books, basically, is what they bill them as, but anybody could color in them, but it's geometric, repeating patterns and stuff, and you can grab little items out of each one. The cool thing is if you buy one of these, it's your book, so you can take a pair of scissors to it if you want. And then this one, these are kind of hard to look at, right? So, yeah. Does that show up in there?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So all kinds of stuff. So I would consider some of these more wood burning patterns than actual piercing patterns, right? But you could easily take something that's a little larger, like something like this, and lay it out on something like this. Now you don't have to do just it. We can do something like that. You can pass that around. That took me a little while to get thin and sanded. But you could lay something out like that on a plate, you see. So, yeah, so we can. But then the other thing I did, and here's something that I did for a while, and this isn't technically piercing, this is like engraving, but that rose. And I saw this, I wasn't bringing it, and then I was walking out of the shop today and I saw it. And I thought, I'll bring that. So it's about not quite 1/8 of an inch deep, and I have a Dremel base that's like, it's a router base for a small Dremel tool that threads on, and you can set the depth. And I basically just put a cutter in there and just route it out. This was a test piece, proof of concept for a growth chart, right? So a growth chart, a life-size growth chart for my nieces, my great niece, my niece's kids. So my niece's niece, or however that works. I don't know how that works out. Anybody in genealogy? My great nieces? Yeah, that's what I thought they were. So basically what you do is you go get like a 8 to 10 inch wide pine board, shelf board at Home Depot or Lowe's, and you lay it out like a giant 6-inch school ruler, but it's in feet. So it stands up, you mount it on the wall, and it's your growth chart for your kids. It starts at 6 inches, so you mount it right above the floor molding, right? And then it ends like at 6 feet. And this was the decoration on the running up the side of the thing. I had 6 or 7 of these that I carved in a growth chart. I've done 6 or 7 different growth charts with different patterns. One of my great nieces is named Holland, so I put tulips all over it. So yeah, but that's some of the stuff that I've done. So back to that. So what we got is somebody asked where you get things like that. Well, these are just stencils and stuff that you can buy at Hobby Lobby, and I bought these when I was looking for stuff like this. And that one, where's that one, yep. So this is this, but I only used a portion of it, right? And you'll see how I do it here in a minute. And then there's another one. Oh, so this is going to be an illustration of how not to do it. And I did it intentionally just to see how it was, but I've got the hearts, right? That's the other side of it, right? And we'll talk about this here in a minute. But you can get all kinds of stuff, right? And you just lay it out. A lot of this could be wood burning stuff or anything really. So there's a whole pile of these things. I'm not going to pass every one of these around. If you want to look at them later, you can. All right. But the one we're going to work with is the one. What did I put on? Yeah, let me see that. We'll work with this one. So this is probably hard to tell. That's a rose. So that was, and like I said, the beauty of those books is once you buy it, it's yours, and you can take a pair of scissors to it, right? So what I found out was when you start working with some of this stuff, depending on what it is and how the shape of it, it's tough to work with this thing, especially if you're not on a flat surface, right? So you're wrapping it around and you're trying to trace inside and everything and do all that. So I just got fed up with it. And yell at me because I'm not in frame there, somebody. So I just cut it out and got it down to a workable size. Now it still doesn't work exactly right because if you can see it sticks up off the top of the, but you can, once you get it held down, what I did with this one, and I just eyeballed that one if you look closely enough. But basically I picked me a line this way, radial line, and then a axial line, and figure out where I want that tip to be. and then the orientation I want the rows to be in, right? And then I think about where those lines pass through the rows, and I duplicate that every time I do it. And I start at the bottom, and I know it's hard to see, but I hold it, and then I'll just trace it. And it doesn't have to be perfect, because you're gonna hollow all this stuff out, right? And then you're gonna sand it all off. And then and every rose is different. That's right.
Oh, that's really cracks to that. I was too!
So was I.
The what?
Poison.
Huh?
Rose has a thorn.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. All right. So there, now it's probably hard to see on the video, but if you can see here, you got a rose on there. When you want to do some hollowing or some piercing, the thinner the better, right? I don't know, did that come around?
No.
Did this come around? That one is like a 1/4 inch thick or better for most of it. And I was going to do something else with that, and then I thought, you know what, I'm going to just go ahead and, you know, abuse myself a little bit and try to hollow that. So that takes a little bit. We can play with that some too. But once you get your pattern, and it doesn't really matter what it is or what you're on, I started trying to do this without visual assistance. And I had that thing you had, right? I bought one of those, and I decided real quick I didn't like it, so I bought this. And this thing is about the same price. And it has a light on it. Did that come on? Yeah. I don't necessarily use that, but it comes with five lenses from one time magnification, 1.5, 2, 2.5, and 3.5. And I'll.
You probably have 3 on.
Huh?
You probably have 3.
Well, I don't know. Let's look. 1.5. Says it right on the lens. All right. And then when we were at Fishersville 2 years ago, I took I sat in on a demo, and I'd been thinking about it for a while, and they got this. Actually, I forgot to get an extension cord out. Yeah, here's one.
Oh, you wanna grab it? I'll plug it in over here.
See if it'll reach. Is it long enough to reach?
Yeah.
All right. So this, they call it a cube, iCube, the most advanced micromotor controller in its size. Okay, this thing is great. It's a Dremel tool on the end of a 45,000 RPM. Love it. The what? Yeah, well, the dental tools go up to 100,000. Yeah, and they're air powered. I looked into getting one of those, and they're like $500 or $600 just for the handpiece. Yeah. So if you ever get one of these, they come in a standard 1/8 inch, right? And then you can get a lot of your tools are 3/16. So it comes with a little. You can get an insert that goes in them to neck it down. All right. This thing doesn't have a lot of torque, so 1/8 inch is as big as you'd want to go, or as big as you can go. And you can pass these around. I got these at
You want these back?
yeah. I mean, they were only $7, so
Hey, Dad,
actually,
I
you
got
know what I'm gonna do? I brought this just for this reason.
If you need a hand, Steve.
Yeah, I'm good. Like I said, I didn't get a lot of time to actually do a lot with this.
When did you sign up for this?
So these are rated at 35,000 RPM. They're just little drills. And I got them at Harbor Freight. I happened to be in there getting something else, and I walked down the aisle and saw them. I was like, huh. I thought they were carving burrs. I didn't read it close enough. They're drills. They're actually drills. And the little ones are like razor sharp. And so I actually drew blood playing with the tips of them when I got them. But if you look at the black one and you look inside of it close enough, I drilled that out with like an 1/8 inch drill bit on a drill. Everything. I had a starter hole for everything, and when I broke through, it blew out the back. And it blew it out bad enough that when I would go in and do the piercing and hollowing it all out, it didn't get it, right? It didn't eliminate the blowout. So if you look inside there, you can see it. It's one of the reasons I made it black, because it's a lot harder to see, right? Because you can see in there a lot better if it's not black, right? So then all you do is I go in, can you see that? I go into the corners, and I go in several places, especially in a sharp corner, right? So if I've got something that comes to a sharp corner, my hollowing tool, my piercing tool, it's tough to get up in there. But this is tiny. This is the biggest one that was in the kit. So if you've seen them, I mean both of those came in a pack, and they were like $7. So I mean, there's nothing invested in them, but so what I'll do is I'll do several, and I'm just hollowing out, I'm just hogging out material basically, right? I'm sure I'll hear about this at dinner. Right? All right, so that, and I would do my whole pattern, everything I want to put on this, and then and then I would do all my piercing, or the starter holes, right?
Is it safe to sit back down?
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be anything like this happen anymore. What you just had.
Can you do that one more time?
You need a.
Hey, it's the truck keys. I'm leaving.
So yeah, so I'll stick that in here. Now, I've looked around and I've found they call these things, if you go to MDI Supply, which they do a lot of the carving tools, right? They call these things stump cutters. And I ordered these off of Amazon. They're probably made out of Chinesium, but they do a pretty good job.
Yes, sir.
And then I've got these. I found, they popped up in my Facebook feed. A guy was using them. They called them a Dremel carving bit, but they're not made by Dremel. Ikoyila, made in China. Wood carving drill bits set, and they're not drill bits, they're actual carving. You can open them up, they're not going to fall out. But these things are really cool. I like them. It's like a spear. Think of on the end of a carving tool, and it's sharp on the edges, and you just pierce it through there. That's what I did the black one with. And here I'll pass. Well, that's what's coming around now, right? So what I'm going to do is I'll pick one of these, and I got to use. Ow! Shit. See how fast them things will cut you?
You can have a little red in there.
That's right. That's right. So then you put your. Oh, and if anybody ever buys one of these, don't ever close the collet unless you have something in the collet. They said that's the fastest way to break your collets. Right? So then so it comes, all these things come with an 1/8" rod in the chuck. And when you put it away, either leave a tool in it or put your shipping stuff back in. Otherwise it'll break it. Can you see this? So basically, you see that pierced through pretty quick, right? You just take it and just start a line, and and just keep carving at it until it breaks through. And then I come in vertically and just whittle away at it. I'm gonna need a smaller one. Use this smaller one. Okay. Cool thing about this is with this, well, this is cherry, so it's a little tougher. Slower is faster, because if you just let it eat, if you push too hard, it burns the wood, and then it fills the cutter full of burnt wood. And periodically what I'll do is stop, especially if I feel like it's not cutting right, and I'll just take a brass wire brush, make sure it's clean. Not a big deal. But that's the gist, and you just keep going just like that. Now the thing about these other ones, the ones that I just passed around, those jokers are, because of the design, the fluted design, there's only 2 flutes, and the thing's spinning. When they get dirty, they get grabby. And if you look on the black one, occasionally you'll see a really big piercing. And if you've ever stuck a die grinder in a small hole and have it grab and chatter and then snap a carbide grinder bit off, that's what this does. It doesn't break these because it's in wood, right? But it'll grab and it'll go, and it'll just chew up whatever it's hitting, because it's running around the inside of that and you can't control it, so you pull your hand out real quick. So the big ones, the bigger holes in that thing, are the design modifications, because this thing caught, it was getting dirty and I didn't catch it, and I'd go in and pierce it, and then all of a sudden it would go, I mean, and it is lightning fast when it does it. So you see how I was having to do that one. So this one, See how fast that's going? Now, the thing about this is as fast as I was going, and this being cherry, it was burning it. You see the smoke coming off of it. You may be able to smell it by now. But you can push straight down, and then you just whittle away at it. Okay? And you can use this to do your piercing. And I don't like the noise either. I have earbuds in when I'm doing this, listening to music. Right? So there's that.
Sure smell it.
Yeah.
That was one of the fluted bits?
Yeah, that's the one, the last set that I just sent around. There's several sizes. The ones I got up here are my favorite size. I haven't tried to use any of the other ones. Okay. The one thing, like that one kind of flat cutter, I don't know what you'd call it, but I wanted to try, that's what I was going to use with the walnut one. Bring me that one. No, the walnut. That one. I was going to carve it out. That disc that you brought that has the flame pattern on that stuff. I've got some copper quick at home. And if you've ever used milliput, or know what that is, a two-part epoxy type putty. Copper Quick is from the plumbing industry to fix copper pipes, and it's a two-part copper epoxy. And I bought that at Fishersville when I bought this and still hadn't used it, but I was going to use it on this. I was going to carve out a nice flame type pattern and then mix that stuff up, and then you just push it in to the thing, and then you come back and you lightly turn it and then sand it, and it leaves a copper colored inlay. And I didn't do it. I decided to use this, but this thing, because let's see what happens here. I've got all the big ones, but this is going to be, huh? So this is, see how much harder that is how thick it is. The thinner the better with piercing. And I'm having to work it back and forth, and it's getting quite hot. And I'm having to come in from different angles to get it all out. Right? So there's that. So thin is your friend. Whoops. Do my eyes look like they're that big when I look at you through that? All right. This one's about 3/16 of an inch thick. Right? It's not, it's more than an eighth. And it was done with one of those, what I called the stump cutter ones. It's got, looks like the first set that I sent, or the first ones that I sent around. I think I did. Didn't I send some little small bits, just some individuals around?
Yeah. Oh yeah, these are,
Yeah, those. So that's what these are.
Have you ever filled any of the resin in that?
You mean like put?
Like resin or crushed opal or?
Not yet.
Why are you giving him ideas?
I've only got so much time and money. All right, so yeah, I've seen all that. I want to play with all of it, and then so yeah, and then I've been wanting to play with the UV resins, and that's what you've been using on your finishes, isn't it?
So these are all done.
Yeah, done with the UV resin. So that's really cool. I'd want to do something that's this big, and I don't feel like running it down to the nail supply place and have them run it stick it in their big machine. So what else? Oh, another thing, I don't know if you guys have ever seen these. You ever those little sanding wheels, or those little star wheels for Dremels? If you know what they were for, they're sanding wheels. They're for sanding, and they're like, the different colors are different grits, and they're not for heavy sanding, but they're for like defuzzing. So when you get done with something like this, and I did it with a lot of the black one, is run the, just take it and just turn it on and then just run it back and forth at different angles around the pattern, around the piercing, because it comes at it at different angles and it takes the fuzz out of it. The problem I have to solve is how do you do the inside, because the inside is horribly fuzzy, especially with all that blowout from using the large drill bit. But when you use the small drill bit that I was showing you, it's so small that your piercing takes care of any blowout that might have to happen is going to be little tiny, right? And it's moving a lot faster than a drill is. So I didn't know what these things were really for, and I'd never messed with them. And then at one of the demonstrations, somebody said something about them and showed them. And I was like, oh, that's what those are. What else can we talk about? So here, we'll take and we'll send this around. One thing I will say though is don't forget to take this off your lathe before you start turning again. You do not want that thing spinning while you're trying to turn. All it would take is just touch that thing and it'll cut you bad. It's not sharp, I mean, but when it's spinning at 1,000 RPM, it's not going to have any mercy on you. All right. So where is that little small thin platter? Is it over there? Or
Yes.
Yeah, there it is. Now the other thing, like that first thing I sent around, hand me the one with the string on it. This was one of my test pieces. This was, this is piercing too. I just drilled a couple of holes and then I took this and just elongated them. And then I went down to Lowe's or Home Depot and looked at what they had for twine. And then I just took it and I wrapped it around. Well, wrapped it around once, pulled it off and measured it, and then figured out how thick it was, and then pulled me off a great big long strip and then just laced it through there. That's not glued in place, by the way. It's bound, and it's a little tricky to find the end, but it's back. It's like right there. I started and stopped at the same point. And to do this, I measured around, figured out how far around it was, and then I divided it by how many of these I wanted, and then I stepped it off with a pair of calipers until I got it even, like you would do dovetails. If you're going to step off your dovetail markings, you step it off, and if it doesn't come out even, you adjust a little bit, and then you step it off again with very light marks, and then once you get it right, then you dig it in and really make a mark, and that's how I did that. I originally, how many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. So if you do an odd one, it's not going to want to work out right, in and out, because you'll end up putting, you'll end up covering the whole thing eventually. So it's got to be even, and that's, yeah. I just stepped it off with a pair of calipers and figured out. But I was going to do fewer. I was going to do 5, and I had to remark it because when I started lacing it, the inside left a gap. They were too far apart, so what it did was it bridged. It didn't lay flat, and you can see it on these. If you look at it again, there's a little bit of a gap, but it's not really noticeable, right? But it would definitely bridge between 2 points on there, so I had to put in another. I had to double it. So if anybody noticed that, you want to see that. So this one, what I was thinking, if we wanted, so it's hard to, you can't wrap that around, right? But you can take one of them that's got a curve and figure out where, and that's why I put the lines on it. right? And it's kind of in the same place on the front and back. You figure out where your lines, figure out what your margins are, and you can lay it out. And you can take a little.
He can't see if you put it in the camera.
And this is going to be the first time I've ever done a platter. So then what I would do, I'd come over here and do the flowers on either end. And now I've got 3 flowers and 2 stems, and I can come over and line it up again. I've got a flower here, and I can use the flower on the end, and I line that up over the last flower, and that roughly, it doesn't have to be perfect, but then it gets my spacing. And then I can come in here, and you notice I'm not really critical about how I hold it. I'm just trying to get the pattern on there, because all flowers are different, right? So basically we would work all the way around the pattern, right? And I'm sure I could do it from the inside, but it felt like it was going to be tougher to do than doing it on the back side. So I might, when I finish this. But then the same thing, right?
Nope.
The middle of the flower is the easiest one. It's just a dot. And then here, I'm not going to try that one, and this one's too big. I need something a little smaller, right? You got to be real careful. So the two, I don't know how big the ones I sent around were. I think one of them was the tiniest one. I mean, you got to look close to see that there's any teeth on that thing. And I need my adapter. Yeah, so I sent around, these 2 were not the smallest. This one's smaller. So I don't know if you can see that, but. And I'm quickly getting to the point I got to make me a new bit holder, right? That is just an art bin thing, and the insert is, I made that myself. It's 2-part silicone. Buy it from Smooth On. There's a company, they're based out of Allentown, Pennsylvania, and if you ever look at some of the stuff that the creators on YouTube do a lot of the creature effects, the guys that make masks and do all the big castings and do the special effects stuff. If you look at their shop, usually you see a product and it says Smooth On it, and it's usually in a yellow jug with a lot of blue. But anyway, when I go to Allentown, if I need something, I just go by their home office and pick up what I need. And I bought some 2-part silicone one time to make some molds, and that's what I did. I basically just sprayed this with mold release, mixed up the silicone, and just dumped it in there and left it overnight. And then I just popped it out and took it over to the drill press and drilled a bunch of holes in it. Laid out a grid and just drilled a bunch of 1/8-inch holes in it, right? So, yeah, I bought epoxy from them too. They do all kinds of stuff. I bought my daughter, she was into that kind of stuff, a lot of the special effects stuff. And I bought her they also made makeup, right? That didn't work, right? That had a tough piece of grain right there. But basically, they make makeup kits they contain all the shades of makeup in them that bruises have. They've got the purple and the brown and the yellow and the blue and all those different colors that a really bad bruise will turn as it heals. Yeah, I bought her a kit like that in there. And I came home one day from work, and she had got home from school, and she comes out and says, "Daddy, look what happened." She held her leg out. She had this humongous bruise. Like, oh my God, how did that not be a hematoma? It hurt. So it's like, why did I not get a call? It's the first thing, because she'd been at school all day. And I was like, oh my God, what happened? And I'd forgotten that I'd bought her that thing. And she's like, "That looks real, doesn't it?" I was like, well, she's like, "That's the bruise kit you bought me." But they make liquid silicone, they make liquid latex. She did a lot of stuff with that kind of thing. And they make, because they do the horror movie stuff, a lot of it, they make blood kits. The synthetic, the real stuff they use in the movies, like for the, like you'd spit out of your mouth or something that would run out of your ears or eyes or from a wound, they make that stuff too. And it looks real. I mean, it is super real. But yeah, but you just take it, and I don't know if you saw that. I got a little quick with it, and I came out, and the thing skated across the surface and left a line in the surface of this thing. The smaller the bit, the slower you have to go, and also the thinner your work has to be if you're going to go all the way through. Right? So when I do this at home, people that have been to my shop have seen my downdraft sanding table that I built. I set up on that with I have an overhead, like magnifier loop type overhead, and I just turn that light on, and I turn that sanding table on and put a towel or something down that I can rest this on, ball it up till it's like a tall platform that I can lay this on, or at least hold it. You don't pierce through into the towel, right? That doesn't turn out real well sometimes. But then that's where I sit when I do this. So and I'll put in a set of headphones and just sit there and do this. These will bore. I just drilled a hole in that one, and then you just basically work it back and forth and let the bit do the work. If you start seeing smoke, you're pushing too hard, because it doesn't take long to overheat one of these little bits. I haven't ruined one yet, but I do have a couple that I can't get clean because of all the burnt wood that's packed inside of it, right? So this one, so I'm gonna do one of the stems, right? One of the long stems. So what I gotta do is I gotta figure out how to brace myself a little better. So I'm gonna come in here at an angle, and I'm gonna cut me a path, right? If you've ever tried to mark something with a razor on wood, or do like mark a line on open grain wood that has a real heavy grain, and the pencil or the knife grab the grain and skate off of your straight edge, Well, that's what this will do if you try to go with whatever you are. So you got to take really, really light cuts until you get your path defined. And then you can come back in. And the bit will try to follow that path, because that's going to be, you have a trough for it to lay in. And this daisy stem's going to have a thorn on it, because I don't know if you heard it. I tried to move my finger and it went like that, and now I got a little divot off the side of this thing. That's how fast it can happen.
What's better, higher speed or lower speed?
Speed is your friend. Same concept as turning. When it's spinning slow, it'll want to grab. So, like those drill bits, they're rated for 3,500 or 35,000 RPM. I don't ever turn this thing down unless I'm using these sanding things. These things aren't rated, but I don't know if it says what they're rated for, but they're not nearly as high as the sanding bits. And that's so big, trying to spin that, it might overheat the motor anyway. But let me think. So I had several things prepared, and I wasn't ready to do it or all. But so for cleaning the bits, we'll use this. That's CMT Orange Tools, and I just take and put I keep this on the table with it, and I'll toss the bit in there and spritz some of this stuff in there. Right? But I turn that, I'm gonna do something with this also. That's really thin. That's one of the items that I bought from these things, that the donated items. That was a piece right there. Yeah, from the donated. I got this at Woodcraft. I've also got, and I brought these too. I've got these things, and you got a set of these too, I think. These cup bits.
Yeah, I got it.
Michael Kors, or is the name of the guy?
Michael Kors is the first brand.
No. There's a guy, he's a wood turner, and he does a lot of embellishment type work. And these, from MDI Supply, these are the cup bits that are his brand name that they help put out. These come from the jewelry industry. And these things, I'm going to get into a little bit of embellishing. For these things were designed, I don't know if you can see that, how big that is, but it's not 3/16 of an inch or less. No, it's 3/32. I'm sorry. Right? If it's an eighth, I'd be surprised. But what they make them even smaller, but they're for the jewelry industry. And when they cut a piece of wire and it leaves the sharp edge on it, they'll take one of these. This thing has teeth on the inside of it, and they'll take it and they'll stick it on that little piece of wire, and it'll smooth. It'll round the end over. But these are I've played with these a little bit. These things make a smoky mess. But I had to get, in order to run it, I had a regular Dremel and it wouldn't run it, right? So I had to go, I just went to Harbor Freight and bought an El Cheapo Chicago Electric, and this thing will run it. Here, can somebody plug that in for me? And then I'm gonna turn that off. Thanks.
I was thinking about it's not working right now. Oh yeah.
These things take some torque to run. Thought I had a block here. What'd I do with it? Did I not get it out? Yeah, here we go. So every time I go to a symposium, that's why I try not to go to too many of them. I end up buying a bunch of stuff I don't ever use, but this thing, so basically, and this one isn't really strong enough. So you want to either do that outside or have some type of dust or smoke extractor, because I have set the fire alarm off at the house. I'm not hooked into anything, so all I had to do was air the place out and it quit bitching at me. But yep. But that, all these different ones make all kinds of different stuff. If you look online or on YouTube, you can find a whole bunch of stuff where they do it. If you buy them, you got to grind the sides down to make them cut like that. They're not meant. The sides don't have the teeth exposed, but if you grind the edge down, it'll and then it'll dig like that. It's meant to go on the end of something and round the end over. So you got to grind the edge down so that the teeth are exposed, so it'll cut and dig. That's why it took a minute. Yep. Questions? I think I did. Yep, it's almost 8 o'clock. Questions? Yes.
Do you do anything for like hand protection? I mean, there's
Nope.
a lot of fast spinning right near your fingers.
No, they're not. I haven't done anything with that because just because I have now. If I were doing something like with a grinding burr that was 1.5 inches and had a great big grinder, I'd probably have some gloves on. But normally for this stuff, no. It's small enough. It's not gonna. And yep, that thing is a little warm. Yes, it is. It's probably gonna melt that silicone. But yeah, but that's how I started, and that's how I do it. So now this, the black. Hand me the black one real quick, please. Damn it. Yeah. This was freehand drawn. I just started in and I drew I started like in one spot and I drew, well, I take that back. I came in and I defined my line, right? I don't want to get any closer than this far to the edge. And then what I did was, before I took it off the lathe, I defined this band, right? And I pencil marked it. I don't want anything farther in than this. So if you look, this thing's slippery. At the arch, everything follows a curve. There's nothing that shouldn't be anything that drops outside of that curved line, right? And that was intentional because I had a line all the way around this, and basically I would draw right up to that line and never cross it. And then when I got up to the line with the grinder, I'd be really, really careful and just nibble away at it. And then, so all these that come up against the line have a curve. They follow a curve of the line, and then that's kind of how I went around it. But it's just like you define, you claim space. You draw something in, and then you draw something that kind of goes around it, right? So let me see. I don't have a piece of paper or anything. Oh yeah, I do. So if you're going to do it, so this is going to be big. So let's say I'm going to start over here in this corner. I'd say And that's all I did. Can you see it? No? So you see how it goes? So then I'd come in here. And it won't necessarily turn out like that, but that's my guideline. And then I'll come in and like I drill a hole here, drill a hole here, drill a hole here, and drill a hole there, right? And then work. And then now that I got these little tiny bits, I'd probably fill in, you know. But anywhere there's a really sharp edge or a corner, I drill a hole. And if it's a small one, like if I took and I filled something in like that, I'd just drill one hole probably. Or if it was more round, it'd just be one hole right in the middle. And that's the way it works. Anything else? She must be hungry.
I'm freezing.
You're cold?
I'm freezing.
All right, cool. Yeah, thank you.
Hey, if anybody has to use the bathroom, I'm gonna go ahead and turn out the lights by